No one saw him fail. That was the most dangerous part. His career didn't collapse in a single moment. It quietly disappeared while everyone believed he was still winning. Ethan Walker was the kind of man people trusted without questioning. Calm voice, clean resume, steady progress. In his early 30s, he worked at a mid-sized consulting firm in Chicago. Not flashy, not famous, but respected. He wasn't the loudest in meetings, and he wasn't the smartest person in the room either. What he had was something more valuable: consistency. Managers knew he would deliver. Clients felt safe with him. For years, that was enough. Ethan believed in a simple formula: show up, do good work, stay out of trouble. It had worked since college. While others chased promotions aggressively, Ethan waited patiently. While colleagues argued, he stayed neutral. He believed professionalism meant being agreeable, adaptable, invisible when needed. And invisibility, he thought, was strength. At home, his life mirrored his career: quiet, controlled, predictable. He lived alone in a modest apartment, ran 3 times a week, and watched the same news channels every night. He avoided extremes, avoided risks, avoided conflict. But underneath that calm surface lived a subtle fear he never admitted out loud. The fear of being wrong, the fear of standing out, the fear that one wrong move could undo everything he had built. So Ethan learned to blend in. When meetings dragged on, he stayed silent. When leadership made questionable decisions, he nodded politely. When younger colleagues challenged ideas, he smiled politely and said nothing. He told himself he was being strategic, mature, professional. But slowly, something shifted. The company changed. New leadership came in, faster, louder, more aggressive. The culture began to reward visibility over reliability. People who spoke confidently, even without substance, were noticed. Those who challenged ideas, even recklessly, were remembered. Ethan noticed this, but only internally. He told himself, trends come and go. Solid work always wins. What he didn't realize was that his silence was already being interpreted as disengagement. Invisible mistake number 1: assuming effort speaks for itself. Months passed. His performance reviews were still good, but no longer exceptional. Phrases like dependable and low risk replaced words like promising and future leader. Ethan didn't panic. He adjusted by working harder: longer hours, more emails, more attention to detail. But he still avoided the one thing that made him uncomfortable: being seen. Then came the project that would quietly change everything. The firm landed a major client: high pressure, high visibility, high stakes. Leadership needed someone to manage internal coordination. Not a glamorous role, but critical. Ethan was the obvious choice. He accepted immediately. This was his chance, he thought, not to stand out, but to prove reliability at scale. At the kickoff meeting, ideas flew around the room. Bold strategies, aggressive timelines, risky assumptions. Ethan noticed the gaps immediately. The plan underestimated resources. The timeline was unrealistic. The client's expectations weren't aligned with internal capacity. He felt the familiar tension rise in his chest. Should I say something? He glanced around the table. Senior leaders were confident. Younger consultants were excited. No one else seemed concerned. So Ethan did what he had always done. He stayed quiet. Invisible mistake number 2: confusing harmony with wisdom. As weeks passed, cracks began to show. Missed deadlines, confusion between teams, client frustration. Ethan worked overtime to fix problems quietly, absorbing mistakes instead of surfacing them. He rewrote reports at midnight. He smoothed conversations. He protected leadership from bad news. He told himself he was being a team player, but something else was happening. Leadership assumed everything was under control because Ethan never said otherwise. When the client finally expressed dissatisfaction, the surprise was visible. Questions were asked, meetings were called, and for the first time, Ethan was put on the spot. Why didn't we see this earlier? Who was tracking these risks? What went wrong? Ethan opened his mouth, then closed it.
He could explain he had emails, notes, proof that he had seen the issues coming, but saying so would mean admitting something harder, that he had chosen silence, that he had protected comfort over clarity, that he had allowed problems to grow quietly. So he said, "We underestimated the complexity." It was technically true, but incomplete. That moment, small, brief, almost forgettable, was the real turning point. Invisible mistake number 3, choosing safety over honesty. The project ended poorly. Not a disaster, but not a success either. And something shifted in how people looked at Ethan, not with anger, with doubt. After the project, Ethan noticed changes that were easy to dismiss at first. He wasn't invited to certain meetings, his opinions weren't asked, new projects went to others. He told himself it was temporary, but months passed and the pattern continued. Performance reviews became vague, feedback was indirect. "You're solid," his manager said, "but we're looking for more leadership presence." Leadership presence. Ethan replayed that phrase in his head for weeks. What did it mean? Confidence, visibility, risk-taking? He realized painfully that people didn't know what he stood for. He had avoided mistakes, but also avoided identity. Invisible mistake number 4, never defining your value in your own words. When restructuring rumors started, Ethan wasn't worried. His numbers were fine, his work was clean. But when layoff came, his name was on the list. Not because he failed, but because no one could explain why he was essential. The conversation was brief, respectful, professional. Business needs have changed. He walked out of the building with a box in his hands, feeling strangely calm, numb even. At home, the silence felt heavier than usual. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Ethan applied everywhere. Interviews went well, but never far enough. He was experienced but not memorable, reliable but not compelling. Younger candidates spoke confidently about impact, leadership, vision. Ethan spoke about execution, support, consistency. He realized something uncomfortable. The world had changed while he stayed still. Invisible mistake number 5. Believing loyalty to comfort is the same as loyalty to growth. Late one night, unable to sleep, Ethan opened his old notebooks, meeting notes, project plans, margins filled with concerns he never voiced. He saw a pattern that hurt more than failure. He had been right, often, but he had never been brave. The hardest truth Ethan faced wasn't that he lost his job. It was that no one had actively taken his career from him. He had slowly handed it away, through silence, through avoidance, through the belief that staying safe was the same as staying valuable. He began to understand something rarely taught, but deeply real. Careers don't usually end because of one big mistake. They end because of small and visible ones, repeated daily. Not speaking when clarity is needed, not challenging when responsibility demands it, not showing up fully because it feels uncomfortable. Ethan didn't lack intelligence. He lacked courage in quiet moments. And quiet moments, he learned, are where careers are actually decided. Months later, he took a different kind of job. Smaller company, less prestige, more responsibility. In meetings, his voice shook at first. He disagreed respectfully. He raised concerns early. It felt risky, uncomfortable, alive. For the first time, he wasn't invisible. How many invisible mistakes are we making right now? Mistakes that don't feel dangerous today, but slowly shape who we become tomorrow. And if silence feels safe, what might it really be costing us in the long run?